God bless you, my brothers and my sisters. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, especially this is my first one for this new year in 2022. If you've been following along on Facebook and YouTube, it's my prayer for this year that this may be a year better, that we may have a better relationship with God, that we may serve Him better, that we may have a better attitude, a better heart, a better mind, that our finances may be better, that our home life may be better, and that things will be better for you and for me this year. And I started off the year talking about this man who was blind and he lived in the village of Bethsaida. And Jesus took him out of the village and Jesus was able to heal him. And the man moved from being blind to better. And I just want to kind of continue along those lines. I'm reminded of a passage of scripture in the book of Luke, chapter number 10, verses 38 through 42. Maybe a familiar passage of scripture for some of you. It was Jesus, he was going to Bethany, and he was coming to the home of this woman named the woman named Martha, and she had a sister called Mary. And, I kind of, didn't really pick up on that until recently as I was reading it in the NIV. And a lot of times we gloss over that. It just says that it was a woman named Martha and her sister was called Mary. And as I thought about it, it kind of applied to me that Mary wasn't really her name, it was what she was called. And then I looked up the name Mary, and in the Hebrew, the name means bitter. And it means bitter or rebellious. And, as I thought about it, I thought about how life could change our name, that things could come our way and it could leave a bitter taste in our mouth. It could be someone, maybe you've been through the experience of losing a loved one. And I was talking to someone recently who lost a child to a fatal car accident. And those things can leave questions in our mind and it can leave a bitter taste in our mouth. Maybe you were in a long-term relationship with the person. You gave them the best years of your life. You did all you could to keep the relationship going, but things ended up going south and you ended up splitting. You ended up out of that long-term relationship with somebody else. Maybe you did all you could at work. You came to work every day, you worked hard, you did your best, but then you still lost your job. Life can make us bitter. And one thing about being bitter is that bitterness is not an indictment, because God created us with emotions and we're going to experience so many different emotions, and it's okay to own our bitterness. But what we do a lot of times is that we are in denial. So we see that ex with somebody else. We were with them for a long time. They left us, they moved on to somebody else and they got married. So then we try to cover it up and say that we're happy for them. Or we tried to go for a promotion at work. We thought we were the most qualified person, but somebody else got the job. And we say that we're happy for that person. But if we really look deep down within ourselves, we can really come to a point where we see that we're bitter over the situation. It reminds me of Naomi. Naomi, her and her husband, they were in Bethlehem. They went to Moab and they had two sons, and their two sons got married, and Naomi had two daughter-in-laws. And then you saw how a famine came, her husband and her two sons died, and she was left by herself, and only thing she had left were her two daughters-in-law. And she made a shift. She said, no longer call me Naomi, meaning pleasant, but call me Mara, meaning bitter. And it's the same root name for the name Mary. So she shifted from being pleasant to being bitter. But one thing we can see about Mary in Luke chapter 10 was that she sat at the feet of Jesus. And my brothers, my sisters, only thing I can tell you is that Jesus is the only one that can take away that bitterness. It's something about being in his presence and being at his feet that takes away the bitterness. But on the other hand, her sister Martha, she got so caught up in all of the stuff she had to do, the preparation she had to make. She probably was making food and cleaning up the house and making the preparing the table and doing all these things. And she got so caught up in all these preparations, and she became worried. And she asked Jesus. She said, "Jesus, make my sister come in here and help me." But Jesus said that your sister, she chose what was better. That she chose to sit at my feet and be in my presence. And when we're so consumed with worry, the best thing that we could do is worship. Worship drives away all of that worry. And just being in the presence of Jesus, just worshiping, we'll see that we may have come in to his presence bitter, but we'll leave better. And I believe that if someone is listening to me today, that maybe you may be bitter, own up to that bitterness, get in the presence of Jesus, and watch him take you from being bitter to being better. So that's my prayer, that we get better this year as we move forward in 2022. So I'll continue to pray for you. You pray for me. God bless you until next time.